Yes, good afternoon, all of you. Okay, the notes are updated for last 1 year. So I thought this aspect was missing from the basic notes. So it's not a substitute for the earlier notes that have been provided to you. Earlier notes are the base material, and this is the current updated material. Okay, so that's both the things should run complementary. And for the time being, you can keep away the notes. Okay, so not required. Okay, pay attention here. Wherever it is required, I'll mention those parts that has to be done from notes. Yesterday there was one question was given as an assignment. Have you done it? Which one? हाँ कहाँ से किया फिर? Google पे search किया. Good. So no, that's behind. How many of you have really searched it? Please raise the hand. 4, 5. Not even the 10, matlab, single digit number of people. So you don't find it assignment is important, or you are waiting for prasad to be get distributed on next day. Anyways, it is going to get discussed in the class. See, the thing is, yes, certainly things will be covered in the class, but when the assignment is given, it means that you also have to do something from your part. Okay, when you will Google it, some 3, 4 more things you will discover, some other connections and links you will develop. Okay, there is a reason why the assignments is being provided, and something which is apart from what is done in the class is given to you. Okay, so as to like look into those matters. Anyways, let's start where we have stopped yesterday. I think we were discussing counter strategies, right? So counter strategy. Now in counter strategy, first is counter insurgency and security aspect. First is security preparedness or counter insurgency. Not just insurgency, but counter insurgency is only the operational part. Okay, this is complete dealing with the security prepared. Insurgency, you understand that this is the operational part, that what the NSG commando would be doing, that is an operational part. But security aspect is about the 4 parts we have discussed yesterday, that is intelligence gathering, then yes, counter-insurgency or operation, then the investigation and the prosecution. Okay, so there has been a lot of change post this 26/11 attack, Mumbai terror attack, and we have discussed that in case of intelligence gathering, which are the, yes, one is the NAT grid. NAT grid is basically the data collection center, but data sharing, it also shares, but it is more of the electronic data which is available with the different ministries and departments that is being collected, and this electronic data is being sent. But apart from that, there are other aspects of intelligence gathering also, that we have seen the multi-agency center. Okay, that is works under the IB, multi-agency center and sub-regional centers, MAC. Okay, so that's also, so not only the electronic data, but all sort of data are collected and they are shared, not only with the 11 central agencies, but between the center and state and throughout the country. Okay, so that's the primary aspect of intelligence gathering. Then the second aspect is operational aspect. Operation or some sort of action that has to be taken based upon the actionable intelligence gathering. Now this can be done, although we have discussed NSG, but it's not about NSG. There are many things. NSG has now become a professional force, but obviously the police, there's an anti-terror squad, they are there in the state level. Also there are special investigation team. So state का भी अपना simultaneously चल रहा है. So NSG is obviously when something which cannot be handled by the state, which is a very, very important attack and unprecedented attack, so NSG is called upon. Otherwise, if you see the series through which the NSG is called, first the police will handle local police, state police, then paramilitary forces, and then finally the NSG is called upon. So if the things are not being managed in a graded manner, so ultimately it's the NSG. So what has happened? We have opened the four regional centers. Four regional centers in Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, and then Calcutta, apart from Manesar. So that's the operational part. Then investigation part. Yes, investigation part is with the NIA now. We have seen also NIA Act. Okay, in fact, investigation and prosecution, both. Prosecution is also done under the special courts. Special courts from under the NIA Act. National Investigation Team. NIA Act है. NIA Act में दो jurisdiction है NIA के लिए. One is the investigation, second is the prosecution. Prosecution is obviously not done by the NIA members. Okay, it will be done by the courts only, but that is, there is a center has a power to appoint the members for the courts. So these are the special courts. Special courts will be there throughout India. Okay, these are sort of a session courts. Okay, so the appeal will be available in the respective high courts and then in the Supreme Court also. So that's a part again in case of this. So special courts NIA. Apart from that, we have also seen that is the NCTC and CCTNS. CCTNS is a e-policing reform. Now we are going to see what is the role of NCTC and why we are talking about the NCTC. Okay, apart from that, first, before NCTC, let's talk about the act. Which act govern, or what is the legislative side? This is the institutional side. Okay, this is the institutional side. So what are the important act? First important act is obviously NIA, which guides the NIA agent. But the most important act is UAPA, that is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. It was there since 1967, but now it has been amended lot many times. Okay, it has amended in 2004, 2008, 2012. Okay. First, to start with 67, the name itself suggests it was just related with unlawful activities, some smaller unlawful activities. But later on, the terrorism has been added to it. Okay, since 2004, the Terror Act has been added. Then you see here 2008, when the Mumbai terror attack has happened, again there is a revision. And then 2012, latest revision in the context of financial terrorism and some other linkages with the organized crime. Okay, so there has been series of revision. Why then, what was happening between 1967 and 2004 then? Which law? Because in 2004, we started adding the terror as one of the unlawful activity. So when I have mentioned yesterday that terror in India started during the Punjab, okay, Khalistan movement and assassination of this Indira Gandhi, etc. Okay, so in 1985, yes, the Tada came. There was a Punjab terrorism also, and Kashmir also was boiling. So in the context of growing terrorism in Punjab and in Kashmir, okay, Tada came. That is Terrorism and Disruptive Activities Act. Okay. Now it was thought that such a draconian act is not very good for the democracy. Okay, even before the act was being formulated. So they thought it will be only for 2 years. But later on, in 1987, again they have extended for 2 years, etc. Okay, so draconian features they knew. In fact, this was the first of its kind where the legislator only determined the life of the act, life of the act at the time of passing of the act. They have said that we are passing only for 2 years. So they knew that there are certain problems with the act. But again, later on, it was extended to 87. It got extended, and finally, it got repealed in 1995. Okay, so the Tada was there. Famous Sanjay Dutt was tried under the Tada. Okay, for which it got famous, popularized act, okay, during this Race movie. Yes, certainly that is Latif, kya naam hai? So TADA was in that regard was a draconian act. So finally, Supreme Court, High Court, and there were various human right violation cases. TADA was removed. Now in 2000, so this was the first act which started talking about the terrorist act. Now it has been repealed. Then the history goes to then in 1919. Yesterday we have explained that there was a hijack of aeroplane, and then it was followed by in 2001 there was a parliament attack. So again, in this context, because TADA was gone, so we required new act, that is a POTA. Now the POTA was equally draconian as that of this. This POTA is a prevention of terrorist activities. Okay. So here also, see the thing is here what is defined is not terrorism. They have defined as what is terror act. There is a difference between terrorism and terror act. So they have just mentioned about what are the acts which falls under this category without defining the terrorism completely. POTA has done the same thing, only added one more feature that financing terrorism is also a terror act. But POTA was again a lot of misuse, human right violations, too much of power, abuse. Again, it got repealed in 2004. Okay. Now, this was the time where it was realized that this kind of draconian act is should not be there, and there is an act, we can make certain amendments to it. Okay, rather than creating a problem. So in 2004, they got POTA replaced by amending all those terror-related activities they have added into this. Okay, 2004. Again, they were revised in 2008, 2012, so making it more powerful, more punishment, more authorities, etc., etc. So this is the most important. Now, this is a single most important act. Apart from that, we have seen NIA, but that is particularly for the investigation and the prosecution. Okay, there is one more act, that is a NSA, okay, National Security Act in general, जिसमें preventive detention वगैरह है. इसमें कुछ problems भी है थोड़े से और because the criminal justice system says that until proven guilty, okay, person is innocent. But this aspect principle has been reversed in UAPA. UAPA में अगर when you are charged under UAPA, so the court should assume that you are guilty of crime. Okay, presumption of guilt rather than presumption of innocence. So presumption of innocence has been replaced by presumption of guilt. Okay, so he will consider that you are guilty, and then it will be considered that how. So that's one of the important again a debate that whether the criminal justice most important principle has been diluted. Is it correct or not? Okay, that is what. Second is custodian interrogation जो रहता है वो 90 days का generally मतलब एक extended way में भी रहता है. So now they have extended it to 180 days. So 6 months custodial interrogation can go. UAPA. Okay. So these are some of the provisions. Apart from that, there are powers with respect to like investigation में काफी सारी powers हैं. Witness के लिए protection नहीं है. Yesterday we have also spoken about this. Once the crime will be under the scheduled crime. Now see the thing here, there are many crimes are there. Apart from terror act, there are many other crimes also there. So if crime fall under the so-called scheduled crime under the NIA, then the case will come here. Otherwise, case will not come here. Case will come into the normal courts, normal session court, high court, and etc. But if it will be an sort of a crime which is mentioned in NIA Act, then this procedure will be followed. Okay. Now, how the NIA get the case? NIA get the case in two ways. One is like state government can request the NIA to take the case because this offense is a very heinous, serious offense, and please take this case. Okay, because you are a professional agency to deal with the matter. This is A. B. Center can also give the directions to the NIA to take up the case, provided that center feel. So both, even if NIA seems to be a central act, but it is both coordination will be there. Center and state can give the direction to get the case. Okay, so that's a. No, it NIA only. UAPA is a big, like, out of which some of the scheduled crimes are NIA. Okay, when it falls under some of the unlawful activities, so it will be under the NI. Okay, so these are the some of the points, but there are issues I have mentioned about NI and etc. First is about the federal coordination is lacking. Second is investigation may judges, yes, these are issues. Then with respect to this principles, one is presumption of guilt and presumption of innocence. That has changed. 180, which is the longest period anywhere in the world. Custodian interrogation ke liye 180 days is the longest period. Nowhere in any country the custodian goes for 180 days. So these are some of the provisions which are still debated. Again, there are issues with respect to normal courts में जो evidences रहते हैं, confessions. Confessions are not taken as evidences in the court of law, okay, solid evidences. But in this case, again, that has been diluted. So, lot many principles have been diluted to make it stronger, and the debate continues with respect to the law also and with respect to the implementation also. So, there has to be a balance between both the sides, but these are the debates still continued. Now come to the last, that is NCTC. Okay, so this is a legal framework, this is an institutional framework. These are the different aspects. NCTC, this is not created obviously as of now, and this is a proposed one. Okay, this is proposed one and yet not been created. First point. Second is context. Let's understand what was the context, why the NCTC was being created. Again, this 26/11 attack, and there was a intelligence and operational failure. Okay, intelligence and operational failure. Intelligence failure. There was a more of a blame game. There were the center has said that we have given the inputs to the Maharashtra government intelligence, and therefore the Maharashtra government has not acted on those intelligence. Okay, now remember, operational power still lies with the state. Okay, before 26/11 or even now. So what a center can do is center can provide them the intelligence, and state should act upon it. Now, Maharashtra government blames on the central government that they are not actionable intelligence. Okay, actionable, they are very vague. Every day you are sending, these people are coming, that people are coming, these people are. So there is a classification. Okay, every day if you are seeing there is a threat, there is a threat, there is a threat. So out of that, one day it is happening. So how do you process that, whether it is actionable or not? So they say that you never told us that this is a category of those actionable. Now this was passing the buck, जिसको बोला जाता है कि the Maharashtra government is pointing the fingers at center is putting fingers at this. Why this has happened? Because there is a lack of coordination. Okay, there was a serious lack of coordination. So in this aspect, we wanted a one investigation agency which can take the intelligence gathering, read it out, process it out, think which kind of action is required, and then execute the action. Okay, for that we require the NCTC. So NCTC is basically for the intelligence collection, intelligence processing, and deciding about the action. That is about where we see that the intelligence is gathered and some sort of action is being taken. Okay, execution of action will be again done by maybe NSG, police force, or whichever the case is. But the decision will be taken here. Okay, so that is the missing loop which was there, and in this context it was proposed. Now this was just a context. Now what are the basic powers? Okay, just you can write if you want to. Like what are the powers that the NCTC is going to have? And this will be in the line of this Federal Agency of America. नाम भी सेम ही है, नेशनल काउंटर टेररिज्म सेंटर. अमेरिका में भी यही नाम है. ओके, कॉपी पेस्टेड कर लिया, थोड़ा नाम दूसरा लग लिया होता. ठीक है, एनीवेज. सो और नाम से इतना पावरफुल एजेंसी नहीं बन जाती है. यू नीड एन इंस्टीट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट. NCTC, and there is also Joint Terror Analysis Center, which is in Britain. Okay, so that's on the same line. Federal agency to manage everything about the terrorism. Now, what are the powers? So the first power is collection of intelligence and analysis of intelligence. Collection and analysis of intelligence. Terror intelligence, specifically. Intelligence. Second is search and arrest operation. सर्च एंड अरेस्ट, सर्च, सीजर एंड अरेस्ट, ये तीन वर्ड्स हमेशा रहते हैं. जैसे आर्म फोर्सेस स्पेशल पावर एक्ट में भी ये तीन वर्ड्स आते हैं, सर्च, अरेस्ट एंड SEIZURE. सीजर मतलब कुछ उनको मतलब प्रॉपर्टी कैप्चर करनी है और एनी अदर इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. जैसे आप गए, लैपटॉप है, लैपटॉप ले लिया वहां से, ओके, या फिर किसी को अरेस्ट कर लिया. सो बेस्ड अपॉन योर एक्शन, दिस ऑल आर द पार्ट्स ऑफ एक्शंस. Okay, whether it is arrest, seizure and क्या लिखा है? Search, हाँ, search. So basically, which example I gave, if you got an information in a particular flat, there is some intelligence. So you can go there, search it out, take away the laptop or some other instrument or weapons, what they are using, and arrest them. Okay, so that's the action part. Third is, yes, third is, you can write, they can decide upon future course with respect to terror threat. Future course with respect to terror threat. And the last one is act as a data center. Act as a data center for terror and terror related activities. Act as a repository of data, जो भी activities हुई है, not a very significant one. Act as a data for terror related activities. Okay, these are all proposed one. Now, yes. Third one is future action for the terror threat. Future action not necessarily only for this purpose. Okay, in the context of wisdom that is being grown because of different things, there can be a certain suggestion. Okay, in the present or in the future also, what action can be taken in the context of terror threat. Okay, so first is intelligence gathering and processing, second is search and arrest, third is any action that is required in future or in present time, and the last one is it will act as a repository of the data. Okay, now what was the debate? This was the proposed one. Okay, what is the debate or objections? Objections on NCTC. Objections on NCTC. Now, the first objection is law and order is a state subject, so state is not ready to give up its power. Since the law and order is a state subject, so state is not ready or not forthcoming to give up its power. Now basically क्या हो रहा था इसमें, थोड़ा सा ऑपरेशनल पार्ट बता देता हूँ. इसमें यह है कि when you are going for the search, arrest and any kind of action, you are not even taking the state into the loop. Now there are both the theories here. If you tell them, then again the surprise element will be lost. If you want to carry out certain covert operation, you have this information, you enter there and you take away information and you have a very less time. इसमें फिर से आएगा decision making, फिर coordination, फिर the time will be get lapsed. So on one side, it's fine also. But then on the other side, there are other issues also, because the state which has a complete power, okay, and jurisdiction over such matters, so at least the coordination, if not, see, there are two extreme positions. One is state should do and center should do, or maybe at least you should inform and take them into the loop what is happening in the state. Okay, so that is how the state was initially was opposing, because law and order is a state subject, and taking this sort of action without taking this state government, the DGP police and the anti-terror squad into consideration is not correct. Okay, that is the first objection. Second objection was the power, okay, immense power that has been that is to be given to the NCTC. Okay, the power, immense power to be given to NCTC. What is immense power here? See, the thing is, it will work under the category of NCTC will be under the IB. In fact, that is the third point I'll mention. And IB is an intelligence agency. Now, intelligence agency का काम है intelligence gathering करना, ना कि action लेना. So you are making one body where you are intelligence also and action also. So that's a tremendous power into one agency. So that's they were not ready with that. It should be a sophisticated professional intelligence body only, and actionable part will be given to some other agency. So this was the part that action and intelligence both should not be given. So that was the second part of the debate. And the third debate was it should not be brought under the IB. Okay, it should not. NCTC was proposed to be under the IB. What was the problem here? Can anybody think about it? IB is any idea? Yes, you? No. See, IB is involved generally in the court operations. Okay, they generally they are not so-called not accountable. Okay, generally क्या होता है कि covert operation है, and these operations are being carried out by the state police in their coordination. So when if at all anything is law-abiding agencies जो रहती है, human right violations or there are no evidences, how can you vent and etc. etc. So generally police and those who have taken the action is held responsible. So this is a premier agency where have you ever come across that IB has done human right violation, etc. They are not accountable ultimately. They are working behind the curtain. Now making an NCTC, granting them power, intelligence and operational power and not holding in accountable is not correct. Or if you held them accountable, then it will tarnish the image of the IB. समझ में आ रहा है? दोनों उसमें problems है. So they say that it should not be under the IB. Okay, so these were some of the debatable issues. There are many other also, but these are primary ones. सबसे important political issue था. Okay, Congress government ने propose किया तो BJP will oppose, and now the BJP is coming forward, so Congress is opposing. So unsaid point वो है सबसे important. Like we do not want to cooperate with the central government. Now Mr. Modi was the one who was the most important hurdle for NCTC because he thought that there will be a lot of power to the UPA government, UPA. Now he is the one who is proposing it. Now this is where the politics take away the real issues, and in this context we can say that there is a high time that issues like terror should not be politicized, and one should raise the bar above the general political issues. Okay, at least not in case of terror. So there's a high need to have a NCTC, and it should see the day. Okay, sooner or later some sort of common ground has to be found. Now, what is the common ground that has been found, although it has happened earlier only? So let's say all the 3 points. First point में उन्होंने ये किया है. First point क्या था कि without taking into the loop, unilaterally going for the action. Now the NCTC is saying that okay, we will take DGP state, that is the Director General Police of the state, the head of Chief of Police in state. He will be taken into the loop. Okay, so that it will be a win-win situation or coordinated effort. So DGP will be informed before taking in any kind of action. That's the one thing. Okay, some common ground. Second में जो है the power that is granted. So power, again there will be a more and more discussion on this topic, but they are saying that we will develop certain SOPs, that is standard operating procedures. Okay, कि कौन से case में, in order to make them more, because although it sounds to be very nice that they should get a power of arrest and search, etc. Now think of it's more of a these are the same power which have been granted to the TADA and the POTA, and conviction rate was less than 3%. Okay, in case of TADA and POTA, and mostly TADA and POTA has been used for the political vendetta, because then center will give the direction, you go and you search operation and these and that. So it is mostly it is being misused. Okay, so giving this much of power without making an accountability is also not correct, because again there are many problems of that. So at least some common ground, that is a standard operating procedures, we have to make them accountable, that what are the strict procedures. And the third, they are now accepted that maybe it will not be under the IB. Okay, the NCTC would directly report to the MHA, okay, rather than keeping under the IB. And also it is a proposal that MAC will be brought under the NCTC, because you need an MAC क्या थे? Intelligence gathering. So you need an intelligence gathering. So obviously it is very logical to understand that MAC should be put under the. But these are just things in the domain. you need to have a debate, and this is a very important debate. Otherwise, in your governance class also, that is a issue between the center-state relation. Okay, just GST is one of the thorn, NCTC is another important thorn. Okay, so these are the points you must see. And so question can be discuss the critically analyze the need of NCTC, or question can be discuss the debate with respect to center state position on the NCTC. Okay, so this can be questioned. So that's something which country should have. There, yes, please. Functional independence. Obviously, when MHA, it is reporting to the MHA. So generally, all the bodies in India, RBI is also an autonomous and independent body. Now you see what happens. So that's the thing. Okay. That is why the state require that जो NCTC की council तैयार होगी उसमें DGP will be the integral part of it. DGP जब रहेंगे हर state के तो decision you cannot take unilaterally. Think of NCTC की जो council है उसमें कोई person नहीं है state government का. What does it mean? It means that tremendous power will be lies at the center. Now, including the DGP of different state, there will be a more democratic decision. Are you understanding? And now you cannot unilaterally go ahead because DGP will bring the state perspective while going for the operation and etc. Okay, so that's how we have to see the thing in perspective. Okay. सेंटर का एम्प्लॉय ऐसे नहीं है, मतलब यार डीजीपी 40 साल की उसकी जॉब हो रखी है, ठीक है, ही इज अ वेरी वेरी पावरफुल पर्सन. ऐसा नहीं है कि एवरीबडी डांस ऑन द ट्यून ऑफ सेंटर. दैट्स वेरी मतलब रॉन्ग assumption. Okay, yes, certainly some people are going to do that, but इतना भी नहीं assume करना है कि कुछ भी नहीं हो सका. फिर किसको मतलब भगवान को ला के बिठाए यहाँ पे एनसीटीसी में. Okay. Yes, so that's the point. Again, these are all things. उसमें कैसे, इसीलिए स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर ये सब चीजें बहुत रिक्वायर्ड रहती हैं. ठीक है. इनफैक्ट सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पुलिस रिफॉर्म है एंड देयर आर अदर थिंग्स. इसीलिए एथिक्स पेपर इंट्रोड्यूस किया हुआ है आपको, पेपर 4. ओके, जिस काम के लिए बिठाया है वही काम करना है. ठीक है. Yes, that's the point. Now come to the development and some other aspects. Next part. This is primarily the part. Baki sub part we can write because it's a part of development part. Second, ये कल dimensions बताए थे ना, security dimension. Second is the development dimension. Now, much of the part here, the development, particularly we are talking about because the whole terrorism has this Kashmir issue, and the widespread is because of this, the emanating with respect to the Kashmir part, because they have only changed the strategy that they are going to diffuse the bomb blast will happen across the country in order to point the finger within the India. But the ultimate issue is the resolution of the Kashmir issue. Now, resolution of Kashmir issue, one is with respect to the Pakistan, that is that will take a time, but at least we should think of development of the Kashmir, okay, the Indian side, that is where the development of the valley and the youth should not fall into the trap of this extremist element, etc. So, developmental angle hai, developmental here, the development of Kashmir. So Kashmir, so these are all basic facilities, right from the employment, the most important one, health facility, education, skill development. Because yesterday I have mentioned that because the youth of Kashmirs are unemployed, okay, so they are stone building के लिए उनको पैसे मिल रहे हैं. So had they get this opportunity, see, any sort of normal human being wants a future, for a good future, okay, a security of life, a good standard living, security for his family and his kids. Okay, if you provide them, so obviously he will logically think 10 times. before going. In fact, it is being said that underdevelopment or lack of development is a breeding grounds for the extremism, and the development is a antidote to the extremism. Okay, so underdevelopment, in fact, syllabus में chapter भी ऐसे ही mention किया हुआ है, underdevelopment and its linkages with extremism. So underdevelopment is one of the reason why people easily fall into that trap. So this is important in that regard. So बहुत सारे schemes इसके ऊपर, मतलब कश्मीर में जैसे skill development है. Okay, that is a Himmat scheme, this scheme, that scheme are there. Skill development programs are being run in the sector. Now, in case of employment and this overall development, there are certain issues. We cannot really go for the industrialization there because the local geography and the topography does not allow us to develop more there, because if you see the terrain. So what sort of development when we talk into account, that is a tourism, the handicraft industry, okay, sports, okay, so these are the activities we need to promote. There is a need of more and more marketing. There is need of more skill development. So these are the aspects, development. Apart from that, there are governance aspect. Okay, the next is governance aspect. Now, it is also being said that a lot of fund is given to the Kashmir, but that goes into the pockets of separatist or the organization which has been. So there is a there is a lack of good governance. Okay, so we have to bring in good governance. Now, let me give you certain examples here, what happens actually. So there are, yesterday we have spoken about terrorist organization. Then there are certain called as separatist. And then there are something called as political parties. Okay, these are the three different stakeholders in Kashmir. Terrorist organization, they are bluntly involved in the terror activities, that LET, Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. That is Harkat and Hizbul Mujahideen. Okay, so these are the LET, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, Huji. Okay, so there are a lot many. Separatists, these are less than to be called as terrorists, but they are the more sort of a pressure groups there. Okay, so this is a Hurriyat conference. Okay, Hurriyat. Now this Hurriyat conference is separatist. Usme bhi do faction hai. That is a moderate faction and the extremist faction. Okay, Miruz Farooq karke hai. That is a moderate faction, and Gilani jo hai, that is a extremist faction. So they are fighting for the Azad Kashmir. Gilani jo hai, Gilani thinks that Azad Kashmir should be the reality, whereas the Miruz Farooq at least negotiate with the government. Now, political parties, these are the democratic parties which run the government. Now, democratic parties may, if you see here, at the corner, extremist corner, there is a PDP. PDP is again almost for the separatist. Then here somewhere there is a national conference. Somewhere here there is a Congress. And somewhere here there is a, yes, BJP. Now, interestingly, these have been running the government. That's a different thing altogether, because politics may, anybody can be your friend. Now here, the PDP is completely for, almost for the separation. Okay, so just Mufti Muhammad and then the, क्या नाम है उसकी लड़की का? महबूबा, ठीक है, महबूबा. अभी वो कि उनसे किसी से मिली, वो छोटी लड़की थी 16 साल की, क्या नाम है उनका? फातिमा ज़ाहिरा. हाँ, तो इतना सारा ह्यू एंड क्राई हो गया बेचारी, मतलब 16 साल की लड़की को भी नहीं छोड़ रहे, मतलब द ट्रॉल. ठीक है. सो NC is for the autonomy. They see that this 370 is a basis, so there has to be an autonomy. Autonomy has to be upholded. They are beyond autonomy. These are Congress, obviously, again, autonomy plus some sort of integration. And this is abolition of 370. So these are the certain ranges. Now, what we are discussing here is about good governance and etc. Apart from that, there are Armed Forces Special Power Act. So not only the Kashmir police, but also there is an army. So they also have a lot of power there. And wherever the army is there, the police system is very weak. So here, the police is also there. And then there are fundamentalists from the Pakistan, some people are there. So this much of strong elements. We are talking about those people who are at the apex of pyramid. So this politics actually revolved around it. Okay, this is Sajjad Loan करके एक आदमी है यहाँ पे. Okay, separatist वाला. Now here also the PDP and the BJP is going. So ultimately क्या होता है कि you calculate the political equations and therefore the amount of fund that is going is not reaching and this is getting distributed this way. Okay, there is a diversion of fund. And this diversion of fund is lack of good governance. Okay, so there is no dearth of actually the fund that is being given to the Kashmir per se. Okay, there is a lot of fund, but there is a problem with respect to the distribution of the fund, and the fund do not reach for the purpose it is being given. So good governance requires to be bring all these components. Second is within the governance, issues with respect to Armed Forces Special Power Act. Now, this was since 1989, so there are lot many issues with respect to. So this become a symbol of operation there now. Now, there is a debate with respect to repeal of Armed Forces Special Power Act. We will take that discussion, but yes, this has become an important aspect. It increases the lot of trust deficit between the common people, okay, or the Kashmir and this. So this become a symbol of operation. So even when the government will try and have a dialogue with them, the situation has reached to a point where the local people do not believe. So that becomes a symbol of operation in this. And there are issues with regard to human right violation. Recently, the Supreme Court also has given certain verdict with respect to Armed Forces Special Power Act and its implementation in Kashmir as well as in Northeast. So repealing the Armed Forces Special, that is one issue of the governance. Then next, that is panchayats are there, but they are not very well functioning. So there is a need for revitalization of the panchayats there. Why this is important? Because the problem of Kashmir is not going to get resolved early. Okay, so till the time it is going to happen between India and Pakistan reach to some common points, you need to develop the governance at the local level. Governance at the local level is also important for the simple reason because this funding will go and get redistributed only when the panchayat at the local level will be strong. Okay, so these are some of the aspects. So this basically the mainstreaming of the youth into the good governance, mainstreaming of the youth in the democracy, Armed Forces Special Power Act, good governance, these are the aspects you should remember. Okay, basic about the corruption. Now next is about the perception management. Perception management. This perception management, one of the reason is feeling of alienation. Okay, feeling of alienation among the Kashmiri youths or Kashmiris, that they feel alienated. So something is required to be done. In fact, Armed Forces Special Power Act is also having a psychological impact. So one thing we can do is at least we can gradually lift from those areas where there have been no incidences of violence in the last 20-25 years. Rather than blanket removal or blanket application, we can go for the analysis of the different areas where not even a single stray event has happened. So you can restrict them to the valley, Kashmir Valley, and rest of the other portions we can think of lifting. This is to give the signal to them that the government is serious. So that's one of the perception management. Second is, yes, here also it requires, yesterday I was talking about this treatment of Muslim minorities within the Kashmir and elsewhere in the country also. Because that also there is a feeling that we are different, we are being treated in a discriminate manner. These are the points. Okay, so there should not be any sort of discrimination, particularly towards, we are not talking about moderates here, we are talking about those liberal moderates which may fall in that trap. Okay, so usme perception management is required. Then next is amnesty, rehabilitation, that part. Okay, some of the youths which are involved in this stone pelting and etc., they can give up and be a part of this. This development is different from rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, those who have already crossed the line, okay, convincing them, dialogue, rehabilitation and amnesty. Okay, so that's the part. And the last one, sir? International cooperation. Okay, international cooperation. Here there is an issue with respect to, because the what we have discussed in terrorism, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, threat of ISIS, it requires the terrorism has become a global. So now global problems requires the global solutions, and unless and until you break the international syndicate, uh, because international syndicate is responsible for the financing of terrorism, it is responsible for the arms that is being provided to them. So these two are very important consideration. That is the financing, the finances of terrorism or finances of terrorism. These are sort of oxygens. One is arms and second is finance. And this is something which has a global reach. Okay, so unless and until you work with the different governments, you will not able to succeed on the terrorism. Okay, so इसमें क्या है कि इसमें bilateral treaties, multilateral, regional and global. मतलब ये आपका आईआर का पार्ट है. जब भी कोई बायलैटरल एग्रीमेंट साइन होता है टेररिज्म के ऊपर, रीजनल के ऊपर, सार्क के प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर या डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर, देन रीजनल, देन देयर इज अ ग्लोबल. नाउ दिस बिकम अ फैशन इन एवरी एग्रीमेंट. यू विल सी दैट we should fight. Even the Saudi Arab and India will sign a joint statement that we will fight against terrorism. Now, where the terrorism is emerging from? Okay, it's emerging from the Salafi faction and Sunni. This is a hotbed of terrorism. The whole world terrorism starts with the Saudi. Okay, so who is going to take an action when you are making a statement? So that's very important. Okay, China and India, we will be very sincere on the terrorism, and it will be brought to the book to the this perpetrators will be brought to the books 26/11. Okay, and then Masood Azhar के ऊपर आप मतलब बैन, हाँ, yes, you put an veto. Okay, हाँ, टेक्निकल नहीं, अब हो गया, मतलब उन्होंने तो बोल दिया, पहले बताया था उन्होंने. There was a hold. They have said that for the technical reason we are not taking the decision. Now recently they have taken the decision also. Now it is not indefinite hold. They have said that now we are vetoing this because of lack of evidences. So this is a very important thing. This is because the national interests become very supreme. Now if anything the country is going to propose, they are going to also analyze with the context of national interest. Okay. In this context, just एक कर लेते हैं, that is the NCTC, need of NCTC, that is, sorry, NCTC नहीं, that is Comprehensive Convention of International Terrorism. Comprehensive Convention of International Terrorism. Need of Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Okay, so it was proposed by India, obviously, 1996. 20 years हो गए, कोई सुनता नहीं है. In international politics, you need to be a superpower. Okay, but ये रिचुअल है एक, मतलब हर टाइम में कंक्लूड करने के लिए. there is a need for ये 20 साल से वही चल रहा है. Okay, anyways, so, right, that Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, so for the first time proposed in 1996. First proposed or drafted by India in 1996. 1996. Yet not passed by UNGA. Yet not passed by UNGA. That is United Nations General Assembly. Okay. Now what are the? Okay, you can do one thing. आपको जो notes मिले हैं उसमें I think हाँ उसमें सब दिया हुआ है. We will see that what are the things. And then you can just refer, if you can, page number 20 of the bigger booklet, November 2015 to August 2016. All of you have it. 20 page number, because that will obviate the need of writing. कहीं पे नोटबुक में नोट कर लो, पेज नंबर 20, बुकलेट नंबर दिस, नहीं तो हवा से चला गया पूरा. कहाँ पे पढ़ाया नहीं है, कौन सा एनसीटी से. Okay, so if you can refer, there are 4 points, something which we have discussed where we were lacked. First is there is no universal definition. So India is saying that let's propose some universal definition on terrorism. First is universal definition of terrorism. Second is to ban all the terror groups and shut down the terror camps regardless of their stated objectives. Third is prosecute all the terrorists And last is to make the cross-border terrorism extraditable. Extraditable means if somebody has found in Bangladesh, they should immediately extradite to us. Lot many lofty goals are there, basically. यहाँ पे मतलब हाफिज सईद और इनको मसूद अजहर को केवल टेररिस्ट है ये टैग नहीं किया जाता. यहाँ पे जो है comprehensive definition, ban all terrorists, prosecute all terrorists, and making the cross border. Now there are important objections. These are important. Why there is a opposition to CCIT? Important one. Yesterday I have mentioned that when the act of terror is there, if the army is involved into the illegitimate activity, should it be considered as act of terror? When the America goes into Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, and what they do, should it be also be considered as a terrorist? So obviously USA is not ready for it. Once you define, so any group can come under the terrorist, whether it is a state actor or whether it is a non-state actor. So USA has a serious objection with respect to defining it. Second is Latin America. Latin America are more worried about the international humanitarian law and human rights issues being ignored, because in this case there are certain activities, okay, local activities against the injustice are going on, some sort of stray violence happens, and then you will be tagged under the terrorist and you will not allow them to function, which has its functional significance in those respective democracies. So it's the other side of the coin. Okay, so you will tag any kind of activity as a terrorist, and therefore they are not ready to give up on that. And some of the, this is very important, international humanitarian law and human rights, particularly during the time of George Bush and this Guantanamo Bay and the kind of the laws that have been come, that US Patriot law है या फिर उसके बाद जितने भी actions हुए उसमें there are blatant human right violations. Okay, अमेरिका ये है कि force भी करते हैं, that is military forces also. The second side is when the people are being captured, they are being treated in a most inhuman way. Okay, Guantanamo Bay is a symbol of operation. The blatant human right violation that you can ever think of it. Okay, if you have seen the movie New York, okay, या फिर खुदा के लिए करके एक मूवी है पाकिस्तान में बनी हुई थी. Okay, so there is a brilliant depiction of what they do inside the Guantanamo Bay. Okay, this नवाजुद्दीन सिद्दीकी का एक बहुत अच्छा clip है, देखो न्यूयॉर्क में what they actually do inside the prison. It's inhuman. It's a torturous. You cannot hear what they do. So these are issues which are not being addressed. 9/11 में सुबह सुबह जब अटैक हुआ था, there are lot many stories. The Muslim people, whoever it is, been captured in 8 months, 10 months, 10 years, 5 years. They haven't disappeared from the world. They have not yet come back to their beloved ones. Now think of these kind of laws. Okay, now this extreme waiting. Okay, these bad dudes must be in Guantanamo Bay. Okay, bad dudes बोलते हैं. Okay, there's dudes, bad dudes बोलते हैं ना ये क्या नाम है इनका, Trump. Okay, so these are important. Terrorists नहीं है, bad dudes. Yes, so that's a concern. Third is Islamic countries ka OIC. They are thinking that this will be target the Pakistan as well as the Palestine, Kashmir. So they have the self-determination theory. Jo yesterday that somebody's terrorist is the another country's freedom fighter. So they are saying that it is actually the fight for justice, self-determination. Like say for example, in case of Palestine, Palestine is asking for their right in case of obviously Israel or two-nation theory. So if you treat Hamas तो है ही है, but Fatah faction भी है. So if you start treating the Fatah and Hamas both as a terrorist, so where is the justice and right of self-determination? So every country has its own objection, and we have made a brilliant मतलब piece of paper कि जिसमें जितना भी अच्छा है सब डाल दिया. So that is also one of the reasons why it is not moving ahead. Now, India has made certain dilutions that activities of armed forces during the armed conflict will not be considered as a terrorist act. It means that what the America is going to do, it will be continue to be called as collateral damage. Okay, that will not be a terror act. Now, once you do it, will the Islamic country agree? No, it will not agree, because then you are calling American thing is right and our thing is wrong. So again, it will not move forward. So even if you are satisfying the America, you are not going to satisfy the OIC. OIC के लिए इन्होंने कर दिया कि rather than calling the people as a terrorist, we will call them as a people. Okay, now if this will happen, America will not agree. Okay, so it's actually more of a rhetoric. Okay, we have to, like, जब तक अमेरिका, रशिया, चाइना नहीं चाहेगा, the ball will kept on rolling. Okay, but yes, as a matter of ritual, we should write. Okay, there is a pressing need for immediate conclusion of comprehensive convention on international terrorism. But yes, at least rest of the other things, jokes apart, definition of terrorism is important, because once you have not defined it, so there are a lot many issues. And more than this, the reforms in United Nations Security Council, that's the most important one, because all the decision of United Nations Security Council are invariably, इसका तो कन्वेंशन होगा, डिसीजन तो यूएनएससी में होगा, एंड जब तक यूएनएससी में वो वीटो पावर का इशू नहीं रिजॉल्व होगा, या फिर द कंट्रीज, द P5 कंट्रीज उसमें और परमानेंट मेंबर्स नहीं आ जाएंगे, द बॉडी विल नॉट बी इफेक्टिव एंड द नेशनल इंटरेस्ट विल बी परपेचुएटेड फ्रॉम दैट प्लेटफॉर्म. सो देयर इज अ ग्रेटर नीड ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन सिक्योरिटी रिफॉर्म. That is it. Okay. Just close the books now. That's it for the terrorism. बाकी कुछ इशू बचा है तो देख लो terrorism. Otherwise we'll start Naxalism. Okay. हाँ, yes please. हाँ. हाँ. Yes, but the point is वही है, दोबारा नहीं हुआ, वहां नहीं हुआ, वहां पर पूरा वर्ल्ड का देखो टेररिज्म 9/11 के बाद क्या हुआ है, इंटरवेंशन से, इराक, अफगानिस्तान, आइसिस, तालिबान. Okay, who is paying the cost for the American protection? And second is, किसके साथ नहीं हुआ? Those who were the culprits were keep on matlab doing the terror activities. Those who were innocent, they have been taken into custody. So that cost also is very important. Okay, the one who is a perpetrators, you do whatever you want to do with them. But the one who is innocent, those who have been captured, what about them? Their freedom. So that's important. Okay. In fact, the whole terrorism, you see, global war on terrorism, the ISIS has brought out of the ashes of war on Iraq. Okay, the origin of ISIS is from the Iraq war, where you have killed Saddam Hussein and left the Sunni population defranchised from all the power, and those defranchised Sunni becomes the ISIS now. Okay, so there is a lot. Pakistan Taliban देखिए आप, तालिबान के ऊपर आपने अटैक किया, now they have the Pakistan Taliban जो border है, okay, they have become the safe haven, and later there is emergence. Again now the Taliban is coming up. ठीक है, so there are aspects you need to. हाँ, yes please. Yes, 1990 में जब yesterday मैंने बोला था, ये 4 चीजें हुई है वहां पे. First is about this political crisis, Armed Forces Special Power Act, the rigging of election, and the Kashmir. So what I was referring in 1989, the everything was this. Because of this, the terror has started. So terror का point हम 1989 क्यों ले रहे हैं? Because the 4 things have happened around 1986 to 1989. ठीक है? So internal scrambles मतलब these are the internal scrambles. इलेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम आया था, रिगिंग हुई थी, कश्मीरी पंडित को रिमूव किया था, आर्म फोर्सेस स्पेशल पावर एक्ट लगाया था, एंड एक्सटर्नल एस्पेक्ट में हमने देखा कि यस दैट सोवियत वाज गॉन. सो सम टोटल ऑफ ऑल इट इज द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ऑफ टेररिज्म. नहीं, रिहेबिलिटेशन वाज इमीडिएट अभी है ना, मतलब सी द थिंग इज, यस देयर आर इश्यूज, वो एक वे फॉरवर्ड में लिखना है हमें, वे फॉरवर्ड एक लिखो, वे फॉरवर्ड. पहले जस्ट होल्ड, पहले जो लाइंस दिए थे आपको वो देखो, पहले स्ट्रक्चर एक दिया हुआ था, व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस, जस्ट चेक इट आउट, एनीथिंग इज रिमेनिंग एंड देन विल राइट द वे फॉरवर्ड. पहले दिया ही नहीं था कि आपको स्ट्रक्चर, एक फ्रेमवर्क दिया था. ओके, ठीक है, एनीवेज, सो जस्ट राइट वे फॉरवर्ड. वे फॉरवर्ड में यही है, द 3 4 थिंग्स. You should write it collectively also. लिख लो यही था. NCTC, there is a need of coming up with NCTC. There is a need of comprehensive convention on international terrorism. There are issues with respect to armed forces, special power act. These are all debatable issues that we are seeing. Okay. Need of conclusion, early conclusion of NCTC. There is comprehensive convention of international terrorism. Armed Forces Special Power Act, we'll discuss it separately also. Okay, what is revision required, what are the concerns, what are the features, etc. But something is required about it. Then dialogue. Okay, dialogue here we are not talking about this amnesty part. Dialogue with this separatist. Okay, separatist and these elements. So that more and more जो internal disturbances हो रहे हैं. Okay, that does not happen without the behest of the separatist elements. So separatist elements, इस dialogue में क्या है कि basically trying to convince them, negotiate with them so that they can mainstream. Okay, you can say that once there is a integral part, you will also have a stay, and you are also one of the important stakeholders. So when the dialogue is absent, okay, then there is a lot of growing trust deficit. So through the dialogue, you have to reduce the trust deficit. This also help in creating this frequent instability in the Kashmir. Okay, every 2 years, 1 year, there are issues which crop up. So when you engage the enemy, at least through the talk, okay, you can, whenever any such sort of untoward incidences happens in the Kashmir, you can engage them. So that's because they are the important ringleaders, and these ringleaders are responsible for all the turmoil in the Kashmir areas. Okay, so dialogue, yes. Now the issue with respect to rehabilitation of Kashmir Pandits. And the last is issue with respect to, although it is this thing, because there's come always, that is what to do with 370, Article 370. So this is the way forward. Apart from, it does not mean that you should ignore these things. Okay, isi ka answer hai, security ka. But what more is to be done? Whatever we have done, that's fine, but there are other things that has to be resolved. Now this we are going to do separately. Okay, and Article 370, I think you must have done Article 370 in polity class. Okay, but there is a debate with respect to, like, I have given you the shades here. That is complete 370 plus through retaining 370 to abolition of 370. These are the people who are 370 plus. Okay, more autonomy is required, something which was there before 1953. These are the people, 370 is there, and apart from that, some other features required to be done. And this is something that 370 has become the hurdle for the Kashmir's integration, and therefore we need to repeal the 370. So that's the issue. Kashmir Pandit ke liye, abhi we have come up with the package. This package has been announced many a times. Okay, this is more of a security reason rather than the attractive package. In spite of, it has been, okay, time and again government has announced the Kashmir rehabilitation in the valley. But Kashmir Pandits are not ready to go because economical package is not that attractive as compared to the security. So it's more about, unless and until you bring the peace and stability in the Kashmir, the Pandits will not go back. So apart from the package, you have to also focus upon the yes, security and the stability in the valley. And yes, please. Referendum, no, there is no. Yes, please, that also you should be very clear about it. Plebiscite, we were ready for the plebiscite way back in 1947 when the United Nations has said it. And that point of time, the plebiscite was in favor of India also, would have gone in favor of India, because yesterday I have explained those issues. Now, there are 2-3 reasons why the plebiscite, India does not talk about the plebiscite. Firstly, a realistic one, and then second is the political reason. Realistic reason is, now there are not very good chances that the plebiscite can be, particularly in case of Valley, okay, that is in favor of India. But apart from that, what are the political and legal consideration? India considered that after this plebiscite, lot has been changed and developed. Political development क्या हो गया कि जो कश्मीर की legislative assembly है, they have passed the resolution that Kashmir becomes the integral part of India. So there is no question on going back whether Kashmir is a part of India or not. So India's legal political position is that we have already been legally de jure integrated. So there is no question on going back. First. Second issue with respect to like this panchayat election and etc. This happens that's also that it has been fully integrated. Article 370 itself is a basis which defines the relationship between the Kashmir and the state. So there is no question when the Article 1 of your constitution says that Union of India, okay, Union of India has it, but the relationship we have a very special one. So 370 in fact is a basis. We have granted them the autonomy also as a special consideration, but it is an integral part of India. So there is no question mark on going back. So one is the political and legal angle, another one is the realistic angle. तीसरा एक reason है, जो भी government of India will not again speak about it because there has been a demographic change. There has been also illegal people from the POK side getting influencing. Separatist element have grown. 1989 के बाद influence of terrorist organization have grown. So many changed from where we have accepted earlier as a plebiscite. So India does not consider plebiscite it's not a debate only for India. Kashmir is an integral part. What we can talk about is the POK part, what has to be done to it. Okay, believe me, this India wants LOC to be converted into the international line. Okay, most of the times we fail to understand. It's the India who is pressing that LOC should be converted into international line. It's not the Pakistan which is pressing. Why? India is a fear that उनका जो LOC है, उनका वो half war लगता है उनको. जो POK उन्होंने capture किया है, that is just an half war they have won. Unless and until they integrate the Kashmir, they are not ready to give up on it. Whereas on the Indian side, or for that matter, this is for anywhere in the world, the one who occupies a particular position, no matter whatever the claim of different countries, the one who occupies is the one who rules, जो जिसका de facto control है. So India knew this fact that POK, okay, is never going to be in part of India. Believe, okay, इसमें कोई मतलब वो नहीं है, पॉलिटिक्स नहीं है. आप रेटोरिक्स दे सकते हो इलेक्शन के टाइम में कि हम उस मुजफ्फराबाद तक और कहीं मतलब रावलपिंडी तक जाएंगे. But in international politics, this does not happen. Okay. In fact, in the Shimla Agreement, India was, in fact, the failure of Shimla Agreement was to convert this LOC into the international border. It was almost decided. Now, what is an India's concern? India's concern जो कश्मीर part हमारा है, उसको एकदम safe बनाएं, so that this will not be the hotbed for the terrorism, and it will not go into the fold of Pakistan or maybe for the international Islamic jihad. Okay, जहाँ से there will be a complete loss. In fact, during the time of Musharraf regime, there was already almost signing of agreement on the Kashmir. Okay, so there cannot be redrawing of border. Redrawing of border is impossible. What they are talking about is converting this the border into the soft border. Soft border मतलब क्या है? कि there will be a people-to-people contact. There will be an economy that will flourish across the border. Cultural contact. So making the border irrelevant is the only way forward. Not redrawing. If you are talking about redrawing border, it means that you haven't understood the politics of Kashmir and international relations. Okay, that's you are living in fool's paradise. Okay. So what is a way forward? Way forward is demilitarization. दोनों side की army हटा दो. Indian army and Pakistan army. Second is local democracy. Third is people-to-people contact. And fourth is economy. Okay, these are the way forward. Otherwise, if you see there is an army from both the sides since last 60 years. Since the army is there is no economy across the border. Since there is no economy across the border, no people-to-people contact, and the people's future has been hijacked by the sovereign countries fight. So people should be the center. जैसे a very veteran person from BJP, Atal Bihari Vajpayee has said in the past that इंसानियत के दायरे में, okay, the Kashmir issue has to be resolved, quote unquote, इंसानियत के दायरे में. इंसानियत is humanity angle. Humanity angle means we have to stop calling Pakistan, Kashmir, Indian or whatever the thing is. all are human beings, and unless and until we come to some common ground, it will be very difficult to find the solution. Because the position are such that there cannot be compromise possible, neither for India nor for the Pakistan. Okay, so plebiscite, for Indians, it is out of question. Pakistan will keep on saying that plebiscite was talked by United Nations and therefore we should go for plebiscite. ठीक है, बट इंडिया बहुत ज़्यादा प्लेबिसाइड के ऊपर बात नहीं करता है, बिकॉज बाकी के इंटरनेशनल कंट्रीज में सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन की फाइट्स रहता है, तो it affects. Okay, so basically once you start supporting self determination anywhere, it will you will have to also support it for the Kashmir. Then India silent रह जाता है, sitting on the fence policy. Okay, even the China has diluted its stand on the Kashmir. Okay, although उनका जो corridor और POK के ऊपर है, लेकिन they say that it is a bilateral issue. Why? Because जो Xinjiang province है उनका, okay, that is also getting affected by the Muslims. Uyghur province, sorry. Uyghur and all those things. Okay, so that's about it. Yes, so these are some of the way forwards. Issue 370. Yes, now let's discuss the Naxalism. Okay, right, Naxalism. बहुत टाइम हो गया, 15 मिनट में ख़त्म करना था काउंटर स्ट्रैटेजी. लिखो. हाँ, आज नक्शलिज्म ख़त्म करके ही जाना, 3:30, 4:30, 5. ओके, लिखो, छोटा टॉपिक. This was in fact the set tune for all the chapters. Some of the points will be common to everywhere. Yes, right, Naxalism. Yes, any issue? Left-wing extremism. Naxalism, Maoism, and left-wing extremism. Second important internal security threat. Now, first write the structure so that you will get what we are going to discuss. Write the structure. So first is what is Naxalism, left-wing extremism, Maoism. इसमें जो है इनका what is the objective, what is ideology and strategy, what is ideology of Naxalism and what is the strategy, what is the ultimate objective. Then we'll see the history. These are the part of your introduction. Then we will see the history and evolution of Naxalism in India. History and evolution of Naxalism in India. Then causes of its growth. Why Naxalism has been succeeded. Then write the social base. Social base. History and evolution के बाद यहाँ पे एक छोटा सा point लिखो, that is current status. उसमें वैसे वो आ जाएगा phases में. Current status. इसी में history and evolution के बाद what is the current status? How much we should take it seriously? What is its spread, etc. Causes of its growth or spread. Social base of Naxalism. And the last is counter strategy. Counter strategy. The last is counter strategy. Okay, so these are the important issues. So let's see. These are all combined. I'll explain first, and then you can take the notes. What are the different things? First, understand what is Naxalism, left-wing extremism, and this Maoism. Now, yes, what is your idea? First, let me know, because it's again. Yes, large? Lal Salam, okay. That's a comrade. बताइए. Farmers. Farmers should get the autonomy. Okay, fruits of development. Good. Very good. Economic deprivation. Yes. Relative deprivation, economic deprivation, underdevelopment. Yes. हाँ, पूरी मूवमेंट बताइए आप, किस बारे में मूवमेंट है? हाँ हाँ, वो तो हिस्ट्री है. व्हाट इज दिस ऑल मूवमेंट अबाउट? एक जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. टू ओवरथ्रो द स्टेट. यस. इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेस. हाँ, यस प्लीज. रीच टू द कोर. ओके, फाइन, गुड. हाँ, यस आप. जब तक आपकी आवाज नहीं सुनते हमें चैन नहीं आता है. बताइए कुछ. शर्मा गए क्या आप? बताइए. मतलब हाँ, यस प्लीज हियर. Extreme socialism. Okay, good. Yes, all are right, but still we have to write more in perspective. Okay. Yes, see, the thing is, first let's compare something with the Kashmir and what we have discussed so far. Although it's also a variant of terrorism also, we have seen in the first class, CPI Maoist, the organization is a banned outfit. It is an outfit which has been considered by Unlawful Activities Prevention Act as a terrorist outfit. Okay. Now, having said this point, if you see the larger context of 1989 and terrorism that we have spoken, is a larger part of Pakistan and the global jihad network and ISI. These elements were involved in destabilizing the country. So some actor is there which is has its country's state policy in order to make the destabilize the country. Now here is something which is our homegrown problem. Okay, it has not started, not even China, nobody has first started it, although there have been a catalyst. But this is a homegrown problem which has, because of government policies, etc., particularly what we see generally as a underdevelopment issue. Okay, somebody has spoken about this economic deprivation. Okay, so economic deprivation, the development. So when the development was happening all over the country, there were some of the pockets within the country were not developing. Or rather, we can put it, some of the pockets were developing even at the cost of underdevelopment of rest of the pockets. Particularly if you see these mining areas, okay, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, West Bengal, okay, these are the where the cases of Gondwana land and all those minerals and mines are there. So in fact, if you think logically, they should have been the most developed areas. So the sense of relative deprivation is, even when they had the natural resources, okay, the most valuable natural resources, yet they are the most backward regions of the country. So it means that when the development was happening elsewhere, they are being more and more underdeveloped. Now, over a period of time, so this was the start. To start with, there was a problem of underdevelopment and this. But later on, what has happened? The people have started taking up the arms, and there are all other atrocities and human right violations. बहुत सारा हो गया. फिर people have taken up the arms to fight against the justice. Now, that's why it is a people's movement against the state. Why? Because there is a perception in group of people, particularly this tribal community, that the current state, the nature of state is oppressive, because they have been the responsible for underdevelopment. They have been responsible for what is, they are the people who are responsible for their miseries in life. Okay, so the miseries in life were not natural one, but they have been created one, because some of the elements from the state have captured the resources, power, and they have misused them, and this is how the problem has grown. So to start with development. Currently, come fast forward, if you see in contemporary times, they have become a sort of a very sophisticated terrorist elements. Now, these sophisticated terrorist elements, particularly the year when 2004, when the Communist Party of India, Maoist, was been created. So at that point of time, it becomes a very strong, okay, after 2004. And in 2010, okay, the one of the most dreaded attack, okay, the most dreaded one, where 76 CRPF Jawan got killed. Okay, now think of the country's 76 CRPF is a very, very strong battalion. The whole company was being eliminated by the Naxalite. Now think of it's a very how much sophisticated weaponaries and instruments you require in order to kill 76 CRPF Jawan. So it shows that that has become a very important internal security threat. It is not just to start with, it was a development, but now it becomes an internal security threat. In 2013, again, some 27 people got killed in Sukhna. Okay, this was in Dandakaranya region, and the 2013 where 26 people killed. Usme se the whole Congress local cadre, okay, was killed. So, and there are many other instances. In fact, this Manmohan Singh in 2006 has come to this Republican Day and said that the Naxalism is single most important internal security threat in country. Okay, because that was the time where every day there was a bomb blast and there was a lot of disruption that were happening. So you have to see the two broader dimensions of Naxalism. If this chapter would have been taught in 70s and 80s, it was more of a developmental chapter. Okay, social issues में या फिर आपको economics में पढ़ाया जाता. Okay, today it has become an internal security, but nonetheless it does not mean it becomes internal security is its mask. Okay, within that the core problem is development. Now these people, when got frustrated with the state policy, they themselves have took up the arms and they started fighting against the state. Here the state was exploitative. That's why it is called as the people war against the state. Okay, so to put it in one catch framework, okay, Naxalism is a people's war against the state. And now people war, people are fighting for the justice, and state is a exploitative from their point of view who are fighting. Okay, so in a simple catchphrase, it is a people's war against the state. People's war against the state because people, there is a relative sense of injustice and relative deprivation, and this deprivation is because of the exploitative nature of the state. Now let's come one by one. That is, what is their objective? So that's the meaning, what is a Naxalism and etc. What is the objective? What is their final objective? This people wars against the state. So to capture the power, to overthrow the current state, okay, which is the exploitative one, and it is replaced by the people's democracy. This has to be differentiated from religious fundamentalism. This has to be also differentiated from Northeast insurgency. Northeast insurgency में secessionist movement है. Nagaland, they want a separate country. Okay, Manipur, they want a separate country. Here, they do not want a separate country. They think that today those who are ruling are exploitative, so capture the power and replace it by people's democracy. Okay, so the objective is to capture the power of state and replace it by what they call people's democracy. Okay, the word people's is generally the socialist having that करंट डेमोक्रेसी किनकी है? करंट डेमोक्रेसी कैपिटलिस्ट की है या फिर जो भी एक्सप्लॉइटेटिव है. दे आर नॉट all people. Okay, it should be in the interest of all. They have the egalitarian vision. Okay, you understand this word egalitarian? Egalitarian, equality. Okay, so the system is something which is providing the justice to all rather than a specific class of people. So that's the objective, that is overthrowing the, capturing the power of the state and replacing it by the people's democracy. So basically they are not secessionists, that has to be differentiated from the terrorism. Or in case of Kashmir, they want to separate Kashmir. Here they do not want a separate red corridor, whatever they are functioning, so we want a separate country. Okay, we want to replace by our own democracy. Now, what is an ideology of Naxalism? Okay, ideology of Naxalism is they are inspired. Now, there are some words I'm writing here. It's start from the Karl Marx and Engel. okay, Communist Manifesto, okay, where they have talked about the exploitation of the worker class. Although this is a modified form, we'll discuss what this. Then we have the name important, that is a Mao. Therefore, it is called as Maoism. And then father of Indian nationalism is a Charu Mazumdar. Now, first we'll see that how these three important elements are related. Now, Karl Marx has been talking about this industrial revolution. In industrial revolution, there are two classes, haves and have-nots. Okay, or in industrial class, the haves is capitalist class and have-nots is a worker class. This is also called as bourgeois class and the proletariat class. So the worker class should abolish the capitalism, okay, or to overthrow the capitalism. See, they are not reformist, they are revolutionary. Okay, so they never convinced with this fact that the capitalist can bring the equality, because essentially and inherently it is exploitative. So when it is inherently exploitative, you cannot have negotiation and appeal to them, emotional appeal that you should start working for us. Okay, so they believe that this system will not work, we have to overthrow. So this is through the revolution. Through the revolution, we have to replace the capitalist system by the socialist system. Socialist system where सबसे important concept है यहाँ पे private property. Okay, so private property means there is a individual ownership. Private property should be replaced by the community ownership. Okay, community ownership of the resources. So that's the ultimate here. Now this was the industrial revolution. When it becomes in the China, what has happened? Because China was not an industrial society, it was an agrarian society. So in agrarian society, land and agri is an important aspect and not the industry. So इसमें haves कौन रहेंगे? Zamindars and landholders. Okay, this is the landholders, and these are people who are working on the land, that is peasants. So this worker class, revolutionary class becomes the peasant class, and exploitative class, capitalist class is replaced by here the landholders class. So the landholder was exploitative and this is exploited. These are the haves and these are have-nots. So what the Mao has done, essentially he has applied the Karl Marx principle into the Chinese society. So that's why this becomes a Maoism. Maoism. Only the worker class is replaced by peasant class. Okay, so that's how the Maoism we call. Now coming to in India, when we see why it becomes a more of a Maoism. So even if you call Marxism, it will not be wrong. Okay, because it is basic philosophy is haves not should fight against the haves. Okay, the injustice has to be fought, and that injustice has to be fought essentially through the revolutionary method. Okay, not through the reformation or dialogues, etc. Now here in this case, in India, when India got independence, we have gone for something called land reforms. Okay, this is Vinoba Bhave and Bhudan movement, etc. So there was a lot of discussion with respect to land reforms. So immediately when the India got independence, this was the most important topic of land reform to remove the inequalities in the society. If you remember, there was a 9th schedule also. 9th schedule में amendment किए गए fundamental right में जो भी land acquire करेंगे, okay, for redistribution of their land, okay, there will not be a question with respect to right to property also. Okay, so the land reform was a significant agenda for the independent country. But what has happened, because land revenue was a state subject, it was again for the state whether to go ahead with the land reform, because you have to make the law, state law and state implementation of law. Only 3 states in country has gone for the successful implementation or partial implementation of land reform. Yes, Kerala, West Bengal and Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, now most successful is obviously in Kerala, partial successful is West Bengal, and Jammu Kashmir is a separate case altogether. Okay, except that the land reform, still we talk about the land reforms. Okay, there has to be a land reforms which was been pending since independence. इसमें क्या था कि land ceiling law है, लैंड सीलिंग लॉ में सरप्लस जो लैंड है, सरप्लस लैंड स्टेट विल कैप्चर इट एंड दैट लैंड विल बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड where the land is not available. So people, landlords यहाँ पे मतलब 500 to 5,000 acres of jamin was there with the big landlords, and there were lot many who do not have the piece of land. So this was a redistribution of land which was there. Now here what has happened in case of West Bengal, there is a these landlords are known as jotdars, these landlords, okay, and the West Bengal government was on forefront on implementation of the this land reforms. Now what has happened when you need in documents कि किसके पास किसकी land है, surplus land कितनी है, so jotdars becomes very frightened because our land will go. So what they have essentially started doing, they started manipulating the land records in order to like retain, okay, some other way, retain as maximum as possible. And these peasants got angry, and this is how the it started, because now Mao has said that peasants should fight against the landholders. So in case of West Bengal, again, the people took the inspiration from the Maoism, okay, as an ideology. So what is ideology? This Charu Muzumdar was on the forefront in India, and he has given a sort of, he becomes the sort of ideologue for the Maoist movement in India. Okay, so what is an essential ideology? We will this is context, because it is very, very important to understand why a particular event which was happened in one particular village has grown today into the 200 plus districts. Okay, 200 or 300 plus districts now. Okay, now let's understand what is an objective we have discussed. What is an ideology? Ideology is, that is, to fight against the justice through the means of revolution. And in the words of Mao, that power flows through the barrel of the gun. Okay? In the words of Mao, power flows through gun, barrel of gun. It means that the violent revolution, okay, it has to be a violent one. It cannot be like without this thing, okay, use of the force. It cannot be a reformist one. You have to take up the arms to fight against justice. Now, there are different strategies that they go for. This is an ideology that essentially it has to be a violent one. So, we come back here. We have written that it is a people war against the state. Okay, so this war is essentially a revolution. It cannot be a reformation, and it should be a armed struggle. It should be a revolution, and it should be a armed struggle. इसी को अब armed struggle में they have the specific tactics, that is they call a guerrilla strategy or guerrilla warfare. There is a difference in between conventional warfare and guerrilla warfare. So they are going to have a guerrilla warfare. So first, revolution, not a reformation. Armed struggle, so possessing the arms is not against the revolution. You need to possess the arm because power flows through the gun. And you go for the guerrilla strategy. So even if you are going for the army, what is a guerrilla and what is conventional war? How does it's different? Yes, certainly. Okay, so that's the point. Conventional war is a head-on collision. Okay, so both the parties are coming. 1, 2, 3, start. Okay, so yes, महाभारत में देखा होगा वो. हाँ, इधर से 4 वॉर, उधर से फिर इधर से अस्त्र, उधर से अस्त्र. This is an asymmetrical war. Guerrilla war is not symmetrical because they know that we cannot compete with the state. So guerrilla warfare. Any famous personality in guerrilla war has been? Shivaji Maharaj. Yes, Shivaji Maharaj has employed this guerrilla warfare strategy to fight against the Mughals. Okay, so yes, there are lot many. बट मुगल्स के साथ जो शिवाजी महाराज ने तो वो उसमें क्या है कि हाइड आउट्स. ओके, देयर विल बी अ स्ट्रैटेजी विच विल बी एम्प्लॉयड. सो इट विल नॉट बी अ सिमेट्रिकल वॉर, इट इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ एसिमेट्रिकल वॉर, एंड you calculate the strategy based upon your weakness and your strength. Okay, what you are weak in, what you are strong in. So that's a guerrilla warfare strategy, armed revolution, and a revolution. So that's the power flows through the gun. So that's a Maoism. That's why we call it Maoism. Okay, there's the word Maoism coming from. Now, so that's about it. Ideology and the strategy, objective. Now write the history and evolution of Naxalism in India. ब्रेक. अच्छा 1-2 मिनट रुक जाओ और फर्स्ट जस्ट ये नाम क्लियर. ओके, ये तो नक्सलिज्म आ जाएगा. ठीक है, फाइन. टेक अ ब्रेक एंड देन वी हैव टू फिनिश नक्सलिज्म टुडे कंप्लीट. नहीं, ज़्यादा नहीं है ये. टेररिज्म थोड़ा सा बड़ा था. यस राइट, हिस्ट्री एंड इवोल्यूशन. हाँ, यस प्लीज. बैन इसलिए किया गया बिकॉज वायलेंट मेथड इज नॉट अ वेरी गुड मेथड ऑफ फाइटिंग फॉर जस्टिस इन डेमोक्रेसी. When you have other democratic methods of grievance redressal. So the problem is Naxalism is not with the end that they want to achieve, but with the means. Okay. So any normal, simple person can empathize with the cause when there is operation. Okay, we will discuss. But then the means that they are adopting may not be justified in the democratic country. Okay. You can, yes, we can empathize with the cause that they are fighting for the justice, but the justice can be get through this democratic methods also. So ban इसलिए किया गया ताकि everybody will pick up the guns and bullets rather than pen and pencil. Okay, so we do not want to create yes, the armed people. Okay, we do not want to like create this sort of situation where everybody is taking guns and bullets and arms and ammunition against the state. ठीक है, तो डेवलपमेंट इशू है, उसको डेमोक्रेटिक तरीके से पॉलिटिकल वे में किया जा सकता है. बट वी विल सी दैट देयर इज अ पॉइंट इन व्हाट यू हैव सेइंग व्हाई दिस सिचुएशन हैज कम. इन फैक्ट दैट्स आंसर लाइज हियर, दैट इज हिस्ट्री एंड इवोल्यूशन एंड द कॉजेस. Okay, these two are important. One, to understand the problem of Naxalism, and then we'll write the current status. So write the history or yes, please, please. हाँ, टेररिज्म ही है, टेरर एक्ट एंड टेरर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. फॉर आवर कन्वीनियंस वी हैव डिस्कस कैटेगराइज इनटू डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स फॉर अ सिंपल रीजन, बिकॉज देयर the strategy is different. Here our focus should be more on development. Their focus is on changing the religious ideology and security aspect. Here the security aspects are important, no doubt. But primarily, the grievances of the people, if you do not address those grievances, the problem, the success will be just a half-hearted one, or the attempt will be only half-hearted. Okay? So that's the thing. Now, calling them terrorists, obviously those people who are a part of CPI Maoist cadre, and those people who are using the indiscriminate violence, they are terrorists. But then those people who are fighting for the justice in a democratic way, you cannot call them terrorists. But it has become a label now. The one who speak against the government fighting for justice, you become Naxalite. If you are coming from JNU, you become Naxalite. No matter even if you go with the... this is the perception. This has to be changed. Okay, the cause is not wrong. Okay, what they are fighting for is not wrong. Violent method is wrong. Anything less than the violent method, we have to accept it, because that is how the democracy flourish. If you are not giving the people right to speak, how you are going to go ahead with the resolution of the problem? Okay, there is a need to listen to people. Okay, so the difference has to be. But somebody who is going for indiscriminate violence, if I am seeing that because the government is not listening to it, so let me make a bomb blast on the school, and therefore the people will listen to me. So that's not a very correct idea. Okay, but very ironically, or that has to be seen in different perspective. The Bhagat Singh has made one statement. It requires a loud voice to make the deaf hear. Okay, so deaf do not hear unless and until you make the loud voice. And that was rightly so, and that's the reason why he has put the bomb on the, now this parliament. Now see the parliament, there is attack on the parliament in 2001 also, and there was attack on the parliament, but there is a change in the perspective, because that is for the fight for justice for us. For somebody it is terrorism. Now it is fight for justice for somebody else, it is terrorism for us. But beyond this, violence cannot be justified in democracy. That's for sure. Okay. Yes. Now let's talk about this history and evolution. History and evolution, very briefly, we are doing. That can be divided into largely three phases. Questions are not just asked on the history, okay, but primarily history. We need to learn to understand the problem and intensity of the issue. That's the only reason we are going for it. Now, this origin of Naxalism, first phase, okay, there is an origin of Naxalism. Naxalism has started in the area called Naxalbari village. It's a short, small hamlet in the Darjeeling district of West Bengal. Now, there are other villages also, Naxalbari, Kharbari, Funsibandi, okay, there are small villages. But this name is important because the word Naxalism derived from the village Naxalbari. Now, this was a very small, stray village incident which could have been tackled in a more pragmatic manner. Now, what was happening, I have already mentioned the context, West Bengal, land reforms were going on, and the Jotdars were trying to manipulate the land records in order to not implement successful implementation of land reforms. So, these villagers were fighting, okay, they started now acting against these landlords in case of West Bengal. Now, if you see in the initial phase, in case of West Bengal, okay, there is already a socialist leaning government, democratic government with the socialist leaning. So they also wanted, like in case of 1960 के आसपास जो है वहाँ पे, this was the first time where the non-Congress government was formed in a state. Okay, so Communist Party of India was formed here, was in government. Now, if you see here, the Communist Party of India also wanted successful implementation of land reforms. Now, among this, this Charu Muzumdar was a party person here. Okay, he was a Karyakarta of Communist Party of India. Now, what has happened when the Jotdars and these people were started manipulating, he got angry that this has become the hurdle for the successful implementation of land reforms. So we need to now make a revolution against these zamindars, because state is not doing its due, okay, in order to implement the land reform. So Charu Muzumdar was initially part of this, but then in 1967, this was the event where Naxalism has started, and 1969, this was a start where he has formed a separate party, that is a Communist Party of India, ML, that is Marxist and Leninist. Okay, this is the first Naxalite organization. So there is a difference between this and this. This is a democratic party. Charu Muzumdar was a part, but then there was a differences with him and his party, and he thought that this path is not leading to the justice, and therefore I need to come away and fight for the justice. So Charu Muzumdar has created a party, Communist Party of India, Marxist, Leninist. Okay. Now this was a starting. This movement grew across some more villages. There has been a violence in local areas, Darjeeling and surrounding areas within the West Bengal. Now, government obviously came up with the stern hands, and they have taken a strict action against them. This police and the paramilitary force is called upon to curb this Naxalite movement. Surprisingly, in the 1971, okay, the movement came to an end. Okay, this was the end of the movement because there was a action taken by the state government. In fact, Charu Muzumdar also died 71 in police custody. Okay, so if you see here this phase, which has a sort of a spark, and spark got ended in no time, and this moment could have been curbed, but then the second phase has started. Okay, so this was Charu Muzumdar become father because he has provided the leadership A, and second, obviously somebody has talked about book. If you want to become a great people, you need to write something so that it will be a sort of perpetuating source of inspiration. तो इसीलिए बैन कर दिया कि 21st सेंचुरी में भी लोग पढ़ के आर्म्स एंड एम्युनिशंस ले सकते हाथ में. ओके, सो दैट्स इन्होंने वो एक बुक बताई आपने, उसमें उन्होंने 8 आर्टिकल्स ऑन Naxalism. He has incorporated the Indian strategy, 8 articles. That 8 articles has becomes the basis for Maoism in India. So he is recognized as father of Naxalism. Charo Muzumdar, another his friend, that is Sanu Kanya likh karke the. Okay. So anyways, so that's the first phase. Now second phase. So you should remember that this was the first organization, Maoist organization. Second phase started now post-emergency. Post-emergency, because emergency during the time, again, this Indira Gandhi government, lot many atrocities, lot many against the state exploitation, state violence, freedom of expression was curbed. Again, this, the stage was there so that the inspiration can be drawn and to fight against the injustice. So this time kya hua? There are two different areas. One is in the down south in Andhra Pradesh, and second is in the Bihar. Okay. So second phase में क्या है? This was the phase. This was the 70s phase. This was around 80s. Okay, second phase was in 80s. In case of Andhra Pradesh, the People War Group. Okay, this is the second most important organization. People's War Group. People's War Group was an instrumental organization in Andhra Pradesh, and the Naxal activities started in AP. Now, around the same time, 80s, in the northern part in Bihar, MCI, that is Maoist Communist Party of India, Communist Center, MCC or MCCI, Maoist Center of India. Now, these two organizations were continued in 80s. So this was the period, again, it got spread. ये एक center था, तो in and around the Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal, and this is in and around the Andhra Pradesh, some part of Vidarbha, etc. So this thing was going on. Again, this is a part of history, nothing is important here. Now the third phase, which is a recent phase or the contemporary phase. Third phase में क्या हुआ? Now, around the 90s, they become very strong. Now, this was all the time where the government was sleeping and they didn't pay any attention. A small CPI and PWG and MCI, they haven't paid any attention. They haven't paid any attention on development. Now the cadre got increased, there is expansion of base, and the attack also started happening. The intensity attack becomes very stronger, and then the events were happening every now and then, and the government realized that this becomes a very significant problem. So government also started involved into the counter-insurgency operation. Now the enemy also realized that now the government has woken up, and therefore now here इस phase में ये दो important बताया, इसमें जितने भी आप कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया लेके फिर ML जितने भी परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन पॉसिबल है, माओ, लेनिन, मार्क्स को लेके MML, ML, LM, MM, और सब में कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया. ओके, बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, देयर वाज अ मशरूमिंग ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, lot many organizations were there. Now they have realized we cannot afford to remain divided, because now the government has become a very strong. So in third phase, what has happened? This was the most significant phase, that is 2004, significant year. In 2004, Maximum Group got collaborated and merged. This MCI and PWG, both of them got merged, and what we have, that is today's CPI Maoist. So this is the single most important. Now this is a terrorist organization, this is banned organization, this is under the banned under the UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Okay, इसके बहुत सारे फ्रंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रहते हैं अलग अलग नेम से, जैसे पीपल्स लिबरेशन आर्मी, पीपल्स लिबरेशन गुरिल्ला आर्मी, PLGA. This is a forefront organization. Okay, so but the most important one is this. ये इसके अलग अलग नाम है. Okay, that is a foot soldiers will be named with PLGA. So CPI and its all sister outfits are banned. Okay, and this becomes the most important. So this is the current phase. So this is how the Naxalism has originated, and it has reached to this particular point. Now, what is the status and spread status of Naxalism in contemporary time? Status and the spread. To understand the problem, कहाँ पे Yeah. So it is almost in 20 states, that is almost 1/3 of the country, and 250 plus districts. 20 states and 250 plus districts. Okay, and primarily 8 states. Okay, the more intense problem. 40 plus districts. Primarily 8 states. Okay, some or the other, single event, 2 events, if we calculate, it is spread in 20 states, 250 districts, and primarily it is more intense in 8 states and 40 districts. Apart from that, the cadre, if you see, the cadre, they have approximately 40,000 to 50,000 cadre. 40,000 to 50,000 cadre, and almost 50% of them are women. 40 to 50% of them are women. Tribal पे discrimination नहीं है fight करने के लिए भी. There is no patriarchy in tribal. Okay, if you have society classes हुए क्या आपके? There is a reason why there is no patriarchy. वहाँ पे private property का concept नहीं है. बहुत सारा कुछ नहीं है वहाँ पे. ठीक है? So yes, so 50% of women. So this is the reach. And some important event you should write. 2010, 76 CRPF Jawan got killed. The whole company was eliminated. Dandakaranya. Okay. 2013, again some 20 people got killed, including the whole convoy of Congress. The whole convoy got killed. Too important. ऐसा नहीं है कि दो है, रोज होता रहता है. ठीक है? And the attacks are very, very intense. Okay, you beyond your imagination. Think of the military trucks जो रहते हैं वो बहुत ही sophisticated रहते हैं. You cannot cause an destruction to them easily. So the detonation of the bomb happens underground, even when there is a lot of defense, even when the strength of the military equipments or the military transport is very strong. In spite of that, it happens. और कभी आपने न्यूज़ में देखा होगा तो एकदम मतलब pieces भी नहीं दिखाई देते. Okay, so think of the strength of their detonation. In fact, India has gone for this जो रहता है ना डिफेंस शील्ड वाले गाड़ियां हैं, तो उस गाड़ी में भी लोग मारे गए हैं. Okay, then when you have the क्या बोलते हैं उसके एंटी माइन व्हीकल्स में भी मतलब अब क्या तो लाए ऐसे टाइप है. Okay, so the strength is very strong. In fact, in 2006, the Manmohan Singh, okay, Prime Minister, has come to the Red Fort and said that Naxalism is the single most important security threat of the country. Okay, now something which has started from a village, it becomes the single most important threat. Okay, so you can imagine. So this is the spread. If you want to take a diagram, there is something called as red corridor. Okay, so if you put crudely this. So red corridor यहाँ से चालू होता है, ये पूरे areas है. This is the area where Bihar, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, eastern part of Maharashtra, eastern part of MP, and eastern part of little part of the UP. Okay, so this whole corridor is called as red corridor. Okay, they typically say it Pashupati to Tirupati. Pashupati क्या है? Yes, Nepal. That's found Tirupati. So this is important area. This complete red corridor, contiguous area. Obviously, there are complete ऐसा नहीं है, so small pocket, but this is a continuous. This is the most hotbed of Naxalism. This is the Dandakaranya region. This is called as Tri-Junction. This is Tri-Junction, Dandakaranya. Dandakaranya में Tri-Junction में कौन सा है? महाराष्ट्र, छत्तीसगढ़ and उड़ीसा. उड़ीसा, आंध्र प्रदेश, हाँ, Tri-Junction तो वो combined ही है, northern part. So this becomes the most important area of Naxalism activities presently, but yes, they are quite widespread. These days they are also growing here also, from Pune to Ahmedabad. This is called as Golden Corridor. Golden Corridor. See, there is a difference in between Golden Crescent, Golden Triangle and Golden Corridor. Okay, वो drugs वाला है, ये drugs वाला नहीं है. Okay, this is Naxalite. This is from Pune to Ahmedabad. This is a recent development wherein they are now coming up to the industrial and urban areas also. Okay, then you have here also presence, some stray presence in Assam, some stray presence here also. So there are like ये जो बोल रहे थे हम 20 states and this thing. So somewhere 1-2 incidences have happened. Here also Tamil Nadu में 1-2 incidences हुए, काफी जगह पे हुए. So वो 20 states है. Otherwise ये 8-9 states are this. Okay. So this is called as the red corridor. लाल सलाम कौन बोल रहा था? Yes, tricolor flag should be replaced by red. उसमें थोड़ा पानी डालो तो saffron. ठीक है. This way or that way, we want to replace. Anyways, so that's about the strength of Naxalite cadre, and they have developed the linkages also. Status में ही लिखो और थोड़ा सा linkages with the NSC and IN. ये कल देखने वाले हैं हम. They have developed the linkages with NSCN, IM and Khaflang. NSCN क्या है? National Socialist Council of Nagaland. Okay, so there have been recent reports. They have developed the Northeast insurgency के साथ. Enemy's enemy is your friend. Okay, what the Kautilya has said. So obviously Northeast are also fighting, so they are developing the linkages there. Also there have been, although officially government also has not yet stated, but they get the funding and arms from China. Although India has not yet stated, not even once, because there are no reports, official reports. But yes, it is being said that from some of the other sources, obviously China, which is a communist country, so they want to propagate the ideology. Initially there was this open border जो है नेपाल और भूटान वाला, particularly the Nepal, where the communist hotbed, again वहाँ से आते हैं. But there has not been any official statement from the government of India yet on this particular thing. The way it is very consistently, India is vociferous on Kashmir issue, that the Pakistan is exporting the terrorism. Okay. So these are the strength and the status of Naxalism in India. Now write the causes of Naxalism. Government of India has reduced for the plan implementation. Oh, what I didn't get your question. Reason is there are certain pockets where there is a intense problem. ठीक है? So focusing on that problem. Ultimately उसमें बहुत सारा politics भी है. Politics ये है कि the more number of areas you declare, the funding. So it is more about the funding politically. Okay. That is what you have reduced because you do not want to give money. Today I recognize some 100 Naxal affected areas, so a lot of funding you have to give there. Now we are going to see what are the strategies for tackling. So यहाँ पे हमने बोला है कि security है, लेकिन more important problem is development. Development में वहाँ पे infrastructure नहीं है, school नहीं है, hospitals नहीं है, employment नहीं है, skill development नहीं है. There is nothing. Okay, there. So you need to develop those areas. So number of areas will increase, number of fund that should go from center to these areas will increase. So as a matter of fiscal prudence and lot many other things, you have cut it. And then that is the reason. We'll discuss those points, why they have been restricted. This has been a very serious concern for many of the states. Okay, I have visited some area in Chhattisgarh, this area. तो वहाँ पे वो district था, पहले Naxalite था, but उन्होंने उसका नाम हटा दिया था. So there were lot many problems for the administrators also. Because the people have this, like, people do not know that we haven't been removed from the paper as a Naxal affected country. Now the people are thinking the government has promised this much and now we have surrendered, we are trying to come to the mainstream. Now suddenly you have removed the particular district from that area. Now IS officer cannot give from his pocket. And the people are coming, and tribal people are coming, look, the government has announced so much of package for the Naxalite. Now who will tell them that there is a remapping has done and your district has been removed? So that these are fundamental issues which are there, because integrated action plan जो है उसमें काफ़ी सारी funding है, तो वो funding cut short हुई है. Okay, we'll discuss those in case of strategies. Okay, let's write here, that is the causes of growth. Causes of growth. The causes of growth are intrinsically linked with the problems of tribals, what has happened to them, what has happened to different elements. See, there is one thing which I have mentioned here, social base. Although it has started as a peasant movement, but later on it was not essentially just the peasant part. Okay, so any kind of operation by the state. So essentially the Adivasis, that is a tribal community, also came into the fold, because ये जो था वेस्ट बंगाल वाला इशू पीजेंट से रिलेटेड था. Okay, peasants were fighting against zamindar. But in case of this Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, this all mining areas. So this where the tribal people were living. So because of industrialization, the exploitation of tribal started happening there, and the tribal came into the social base. So social base may, although it was just a peasant, it's no more just a peasant, it is also about tribal. And in contemporary time, there are different segments in the society who are getting directly and indirectly oppressed by the state, or where there is a perception of injustice among the people because of the state. So now within that fold, even the Dalits are coming. Within that fold, even the students, youths are coming, because the youths which are not getting the jobs because of this are also getting. Then the minorities are coming. Then Dalit atrocities, such as the event which was there in Maharashtra, where Khairlanji event, where the people have gone there and killed Dalits. So the operation of this Dalits from the dominant section of the society, they are also feeling oppressed because of government. So social base is no more a peasant. It is a peasant. It is Adivasi. It is the farmer community, Adivasi community, Dalit community, the students, and any other minorities, and any other which are feeling the oppression by the state. So social base has kept on increasing there. Okay, now with this, the tribal is going to be an important. So we'll see that what are the causes of growth. Causes of growth can be divided into largely 4 parts. Okay, first is basic tribal issues. Basic tribal problems which have happened there. Yes, what were the basic tribal issues? Well, it's a very, very important one. When we say about development nahi hai, so what were the problems actually with respect to the tribals? Poverty, okay. They worship nature, so what has happened? Land acquisition, okay, good. Or culture, lack of resources, poverty, money. We are very sensitive. We define the poverty only in economic terms. Okay, poverty is a dimension, but yes, पहले तो money है. When you don't have money, you are poor. बाकी तो और भी dimension, multi-poverty index लाया है इन्होंने. United Nations or OPHA जो organization. हाँ, please. Lack of consent and participation. Okay. Lack of democracy. Literacy. Okay. Education. See, these are all problems of development. This is health, education, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy. ये एक problem है. ये एक किसी भी नॉर्मल इंसान के लिए जो प्रॉब्लम होते हैं ये प्रॉब्लम है. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट there are certain specific problem for the tribal, because tribal lives in forest. For them, the forest, the land, the water, and the culture in which they live, that becomes the most fundamental. Okay, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, abode for them. Okay, to as a civilization they have grown, they stay there. They work there. There is a cultural, there are cultural aspect, there are emotional aspect, there are recreation. So the whole ecosystem is with the forest. So there are certain pressing things which is termed as Jal, Jameen and Jungle. Jal, Jameen and jungle. Okay, these are the three words which are generally being used as a basic issues of tribals. Jal is, yes, water. Jameen, land issues. And jungle is a forest issues. So these are the three, the most important immediate things for the tribals. And what has happened, the problem of where we see that when the state started working and functioning, okay, there have been a blatant violation of their rights. They have been taken away from the lands. Like with respect to the lands, what were the problems? First of all, non-implementation of the land reforms. Okay, or poor implementation, likho. Poor implementation of land reforms. Poor implementation of land reforms. Second is, जो भी उनके पास थोड़ी बहुत land थी, that is a forceful acquisition of lands. Forceful acquisition of land. Forceful acquisition of land without rehabilitation and compensation. Without adequate rehabilitation and compensation. First is land reform. जो लोग landless थे वो they remain landless. जिनके पास थोड़ी marginal land थे उनकी land छीन ली गई plus उनके पास no rehabilitation. Okay. Third is obviously with respect to the forest. You can write the forest, the indiscriminate cutting of the forest for the industrialization. Indiscriminate cutting of the forest for the industrialization. For industrialization. The traditional forest rights were taken away. Traditional forest rights were taken away. Taken away. Okay. Now for this water, how it has gone, when the industry will come, first industry will come, तो आपको land लेना पड़ेगा और आपको land clear करना पड़ेगा. So your land has gone and the forest has gone. And whenever there is an industry, you need water. Okay, so water has gone. Now for these were not literate people. These were living in this. So it's not just loss of livelihood. You have to see in a very intensity here. It's not just loss of livelihood. First, the loss of livelihood hai, it's uprooting the culture altogether. Okay, it's uprooting their house or home because they were living in the forest. Their culture, जैसे एक है कि नियामगिरी का केस स्टडी आप प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं वहाँ पे, तो वहाँ पे वो नियामगिरी केवल लाइवलीहुड रिसोर्स नहीं है, वो उनका प्लेस है जहाँ पे वो रह सकते हैं. And the Niyamgiri is a revered place for them. So there is an emotive issue also, spiritual and emotive issue also. So once the land, this were removed, it means that they have been completely taken away from all the resources where they could have functioned normally. Their basic existence has been threatened. Okay, Jal, Jameen and Jungle. Now this has happened because of maladministration and various reasons. We'll discuss further. Second issue you can write. Second, you can write that is a development deficit. Development deficit. Okay, first was Jal, Jameen, Jungle. Second is development deficit. Development deficit, this is what? See, first you have been removed from your traditional thing, but you have not been rehabilitated. So यहाँ पे वो सब issues है जो आप basic बोल रहे थे. So there is a poverty. There is no unemployed because there are no skills. उनको उतना ही पता था कि पेड़ से कैसे निकालना है, वो तेंदु विंदु के पत्ते, उनको ये थोड़ा सा local marketing करनी है. Okay, they never had a skills where they can be absorbed in the mainstream. So poverty, unemployment, lack of education, lack of skills, lack of health facilities, and all this is also because of lack of basic physical infrastructure in the area. Okay, because there are no roads only in the tribal areas. Okay, so poverty, unemployment, lack of education, health, and lack of physical infrastructure. There is no road connectivity, there is no electricity, etc. etc. So think of first you have been removed and then there is no absorption for you. So that's again a development deficit. Now इसमें बहुत सारे है, absolute sense में भी है और relative sense में भी है. Relative sense में भी think of the rest of the country is growing and you are remain underdeveloped. So there is a sense of relative deprivation. Okay, because see, everybody is not developing, then you can say that okay, there is no injustice. Everybody is same. But when somebody is developing and you are not developing, then there is a sense of relative deprivation. So relative deprivation started growing and there is a feeling of alienation amongst them. Second is, it is not only others were developing by your resources. Now think of, this is again all the more difficult to understand because your resources, land is being taken, forest is being taken, water is being taken, mining जो है वहाँ पे बहुत सारी खदानें लगाई हुई हैं. Okay, and there is a nexus mafia which is trying to take away the resources. So the whole thing is the issue of underdevelopment or relative sense of injustice, relative deprivation, these started happening. Third is issues with respect to the social justice and dignity. Issues with regard to social justice and dignity. Now इनको forest से हटा दिया, इनको यहाँ पे भी नहीं है, and the atrocities started happening. Okay, atrocities started happening. If they are trying to raise their voice, they have been mercilessly being killed. So here, the women, tribal women getting raped. Okay, then the people who are raising the voice, they are being killed. So there were blatant human right violations, abuse of power, lack of dignity, abuse of power, rape and atrocities against the women. Rape and atrocities particularly again by the government agencies and the mafia, local mafia, which has started growing there. Because when the industry will come, there are three types of people. The one who are running the mine and excavating, then the people who are running the industry, and then the people from the government side. In fact, this was the time when the IFOS was the most lucrative career, okay, Indian Forest Services, because there was no environmental laws, there was no forest laws, there was no regulation, no transparency, and Indian Forest Services was very, very lucrative career. There was a strong nexus between the local mafia and the capitalists, obviously this mining area. So this has taken the human right violation, abuse, rape, and atrocities against the women. Now this was the time where they feel completely alienated and dejected. So this become an emotive issue. There is a sense of alienation, complete psychological जो रहता है, something. And now at this point of time, now fourth point is governance deficit. Governance deficit. Now this was not only a deficit is first lack of governance. Now these people where the tribal women have been raped, they are coming to the police is not there, police stations are not there. In some cases, police stations are there, nobody is ready to listen to them. Because ultimately, the people who are committed the atrocities are the mafias. So no action is taken. So it becomes a double whammy. First of all, you are a victim. Second, when you are going for asking for the justice, nobody is there to listen to you. Okay. So governance deficit mein lack of basic civic governance. Lack of basic civic governance. So there is no grievance redressal that we talk about. There are democratic grievance redressal mechanism. Here there was complete absence of democratic grievance redressal mechanism. Lack of basic civic governance. Basic civic governance, municipalities, सड़क नहीं है, ये नहीं है, कोई governance ही नहीं है. Law and order नहीं है. Police system is not there. Where they are already hand in glove with the mafias. Okay, so the lack of governance. In some cases, there was a mal-governance and misgovernance also, wherever they are existing mal or misgovernance, where this is related with the other parts also. There is an unholy nexus between the government officials and the local mafias. So पहले कहीं पे था नहीं और जहाँ पे था वहाँ पे it was a bad administration. Okay, mal-governance and misgovernance. So these are the areas. Now at this point of time, they were nowhere to go. And somebody is telling you that took up the arms and fight for the justice for your own sake and family, now it is not very hard for us to imagine that people will not take up the arms, because that's the only way remaining to fight for the existence. Not we are talking about very good lifestyle, okay, for the existence. Now, this was the time where somebody from the Maoist cadre will come and tell them, in spite of these things, what you are doing, you have to take the arms and fight against the justice. So, always this sort of underdevelopment is become a breeding ground for the extremism, and they fall in the trap of this extremist element. Okay, so this is how it started growing in the rest of the parts. First, it started with the peasants. So just write the social base. Last point, likho. Social base. So social base में पहले peasants है, peasants. Then write Adivasis. Adivasis, that is tribals. Dalits. These are recent additions. Dalits, because their dominant sections are committing the atrocities in some other way. Like in case of Bihar also, there are lot many senas, this Bhumihar Brahmins and dominant sections there, lot many, Ranveer Sena, okay. So वो है तो वो उनका भी वो लग गया कि we get a hope. So there's somebody showing you hope. Okay, let's come and join us and fight against the justice. Okay, so yes, Dalits, or what do you call, yes, Adivasis, peasants. Then yes, students, youths, or the students, unemployed youths, bracket me, you can write. Unemployed youths and students. Minorities, minority communities, linguistic minorities, religious minorities, or for that matter, any section which are feeling a relative sense of injustice. Okay, any section which feel there is a sense of injustice. So they are also started coming into the fold. And this is the reason why even the intellectuals started supporting it. If you see the 70s and 80s period, that was the time where the Indira Gandhi's oppressive regime was there. Internal emergency was applied. Now, during the time of internal emergency, many atrocities were committed during the emergency time, during this internal emergency. So this was a time where people also come forward in order to support the democratic elements. Okay, there was all the Jai Prakash movement was there. It was a more of a JP movement, which was a democratic one, but simultaneously it was very easy to convince the youth. Okay, in fact, this Delhi University Center was also one of the hub where these points used to be discussed, that what are the atrocities happening during the emergency, and they used to started providing, because they used to write, and then writing against the operation, justice. So this is how the intellectual base also started. Now, if you think of these 4 or 5 areas, somebody is raising the voice against it, so that is how the intellectual base also started getting into this particular fold. So that's how the intellectual base. मैंने शायद बताया था ये movie हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी. Okay, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. But it's a very fantastic depiction of those 70s and 80s. That how in certain pockets in India, atrocities were continued, and how they are affecting the students' campus in the capital city, Delhi University, and this sort of depiction. So this is how the movement started growing into the manifold, and it has reached to the stage where we are considering it as a most important, or the most important significant problem. Okay, we'll stop it here. We'll discuss tomorrow about the counter strategy. You have an assignment. One of the counter strategy is surrender and amnesty. Okay, that is what is called a surrender cum rehabilitation strategy. So आपको थोड़ा सा Google करके आओ इसके ऊपर. Okay, there is a question that how effective is a surrender cum rehabilitation strategy. Apart from security and development, there is one strategy. We have seen in terrorism also, but here also that same strategy is there. Surrender cum rehabilitation strategy. What is an effectivity? हाँ, assignment में है आपके लिए. ठीक है? So thank you so much. Anybody has any doubt, you can meet me.